Hi guys, Alex here, and welcome back to another SSR analysis video. And today I'm joined by DFreeDBZHD, and we are going to be taking a look at the 5 God tier units. And yeah, say hi.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me back, Alex. It's fun to be back. It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to have a look at these units, and you are the owner of 4 of the 5, and honestly, all you need is that Broly. Like,
yeah.
Insane.
I need the Broly. I haven't had a chance to summon him since I've had my account, so I got Omega today, so we're looking good, fam.
It was really weird because Broly came out at the same time as Vegito, and they were both on the same banner. And it's not exactly a bad thing because you had a chance to summon both of them, but at the same time, it doesn't have, like, he didn't exactly have an opportunity to shine by himself.
Basically, yeah. He seemed like he was a bit of like a throw-in for Vegito. People that didn't get Vegito, like saying, "Hey, you still got one of the new featured cards, and he's still one of the new best cards in the game. He's just not exactly what you wanted."
Yeah, exactly, pretty much. So today one's going to be a little different. Normally I would go through all the cards and then obviously rank them. However, today we are going to be starting with the worst, essentially, and then obviously making our way up to the top. And I'm pretty sure the majority of you already know which one is the worst out of the 5. But in 5th place comes Physical Broly. He obviously has the standard leader skill, physical types, Ki +3, HP, attack and defense up by 70%, supreme damage, when Ki meters 8 or more, attack plus 7,000, and he obviously gets to launch an additional super attack. He has Saiyan Warrior Race, Saiyan Lineage, Super Saiyan, Fierce Battle, Prepared for Battle, Hardened Grudge, and Berserker. So, what is wrong with this unit?
The first thing wrong with him is the Supreme modifier. Like I was telling you initially, is it seems like they tried to level it out because he does get 2 super attacks and he does get the 7,000 attack boost. So in nature, when you look at him at super attack 1 versus a card with an immense modifier such as Vegito at super attack 1, he probably outdamages them. But the thing is that immense as a modifier, the more you increase the super attack, it increases their damage output potential versus the Supreme modifier that he has. Obviously, he's capped out, whereas he could have done so much more damage had he had another modifier on him, basically. And the issue with him, too, is that he's going to be super attacking twice, which is cool. I mean, people, when he came out, were saying, oh, he can double nuke. Sure, nuking isn't really as relevant as it once was. Another issue with him is the fact that he's bland. He doesn't have anything with some of the later units that we're going to talk about have, such as a counter or recovery or things like that. So Broly just kind of he's, like I said, he's just kind of there. And he doesn't have the best links either.
Yeah, and the problem with that type in general is just that they are all hard hitters. They don't really provide anything else apart from that.
Basically, yeah. And you look at his unit group, he doesn't. It's not really his fault, but he doesn't have the supporting units that can make him a little bit better. He has a lot of hard-hitting units, but he doesn't have a very viable tank. I mean, the physical Piccolo is probably as good as it gets as far as like a tank goes, and he makes everybody, a little bit more of a tank. That coupled with the double Broly leader skill defensively and HP-wise, sure, but they don't have like a Golden Frieza, for example, or a Strength Vegeta. They don't have something like that could really, add a lot of versatility to their unit group.
Exactly. It definitely does have a lot of potential. It's just like in the end it doesn't really connect because it's just the way that this unit was made. It just doesn't really work out in the end. And his links are kind of limited. He does have Prepared for Battle, obviously, which does link with a few units, but it's not as versatile as some of the other top tier units, obviously.
Basically, yeah. When you look at this Broly, I mean, he's basically the Strength Broly with Prepared for Battle and the ability to super attack a little sooner. I mean, not looking at his leader skill and stats, of course. He's basically just their chance at basically a rebirth of that card. That's basically what this is.
And the only thing that actually makes this unit like a God tier unit is his leader skill.
The leader skill, yes. That's the best thing about this card. And that's the best thing about every single card on this group. I mean, they have other things about them, but their leader skills are what make them who they are.
Exactly. They could be like the worst card, but that leader skill just instantly makes them that much better.
Basically.
Okay, so I know the next one might be a little bit controversial, but we've talked about it, and honestly, what makes most sense based on the units that are currently out, and just at face value, In number 4 comes Omega Shenron. STR type key +3, attack, defense, and HP +70%. Immense damage and great lowers defense. Attack +80%, and all enemies attack reduced by 30%. Link skills: Brutal Beatdown, Fear and Faith, Big Bad Bosses, Shocking Speed, GT, Shadow Dragon, and Fierce Battle. So, tell us a bit more about why this card has potential, but is just slightly a bit more bland.
The first issue that they have with this card is the fact that he doesn't have very many Shocking Speed running mates. I mean, he has GT running mates that are, viable, like the new Vegito, who doesn't have Over in a Flash, which would have been more useful for that card, but at the very least he has GT, and he links with this guy, and he's a strength unit. You do have the older GT Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So the first thing that's wrong with this guy is his links, and he doesn't have very many cards you can throw into that team with him. I mean, you have Beerus and other top-tier cards you can throw in there, and you can even still make use of him by throwing in cards that just link together aside from him linking. So like Gogeta, and you can run Mono Over in a Flash, but that's more of an attribute of the typing, not really something that's specific to this card. Now, when you really break him down, look at his stats. He has high attack and defense and HP stats. They're all really well balanced. He's designed to be an offensive tank. He's designed to hit you really, really hard and basically not take much back. He lowers the attack of everybody on the opponent's side of the field, basically, but that decreases the amount of damage that all of your units would have taken from attacks from those guys as well, because their attacks are going down. And he gets an 80% attack boost with the immense modifier on the super attack, and he greatly lowers the defense of the enemy. So basically, when you look at him, he's really well-rounded. He's basically the most well-rounded card in the whole unit group. But the fact that he doesn't excel at any one thing is the main issue with this card. And he's a villain, so he can't be a Super Saiyan. So
yeah, that's the thing. I think people had really high expectations for this unit after Buuhan because of how great he was. Many people saw Buuhan at first. They were like, okay, he really isn't that great. All he does is nuke, and obviously he has that healing passive. But as soon as people actually used him, he was absolutely incredible. You barely had to use any items when taking on these Dokkan events, and it just works really well. He can basically carry an entire team. Like, for example, you used 2 units that weren't even awakened against Golden Frieza, and just absolutely wore through that event.
I used three units that weren't awakened. Yeah, basically, Buuhan is interesting because he can carry the entire team, like you said. His healing is clutch, his damage is clutch, and the issue with this guy is even while Broly has a gimmick, no matter how underwhelming it is and that he super attacks twice, this guy has no real gimmick. He doesn't do anything special. He lowers defense. Sure, that's all he does, really.
And that's the problem with this card. It's just extremely bland. Because I think we already have 3 units that already greatly lower defense. So we have Gotenks and Buuhan. All enemies attack -30%. Buuhan greatly lowers attack, which is something similar, but I'm pretty sure Omega lowers it by a bit more, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that 30% is a higher stat than the greatly lowers. If you guys know, let us know, but I'm pretty sure that the 30 is higher. I mean, you have double, so they'll spawn back to back. You're gonna basically screw over the opponent's attack, which is great. And he's going to hit really hard, and they're going to get the leader skill buff, so everybody else on the team is going to hit really hard. But the problem with this unit group is that basically this isn't Omega's team. This is Gogeta's team. Gogeta carries this team. Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah,
honestly, it should be his team, but this is basically the rebirth of Gogeta. This is the Gogeta Apocalypse 2.0.
Because Gogeta was chilling, and like I said, Omega was interesting because he's the only unit I think that had a ready-made team for him. In what you can run Mono, STR over in a Flash, and he was already ready to go. So
exactly, that was basically the team that was just set for him. Just put all these incredible units into that one team, and it will just work because Over in Flash gives 3 key, which will instantly put him on 9 key each, which is just absolutely insane.
And not to factor in other links like Golden Warrior, Prepare for Battle, all these other things. They were all just chilling, waiting for their mono leader.
And the fact that he lowers defense, that just makes the units around him even better.
Yep, and that's the point, is that he lowers defense, makes everybody else hit a little harder, and he lowers the attack so everybody tanks a little easier. So he's an all-around unit. I think he's the only one in this whole unit group that's all-around like that, and that's the interesting thing about him.
His stats are really, really good.
Yeah. 7,000 really defense, bro.
When I saw that defensive stat, I was like, wow, that's some pretty high defense. I think does he have the highest defense in the game?
Aside from a passive, just naturally, probably so.
Yeah, because I don't think LR Goku does.
I don't think he has that high of a defense. At the very least, he's a top 3 defensive unit as far as natural stats goes.
LR Goku has slightly higher defense by like 500, but for a transcended ultra rare, that's a really high defensive stat.
Yeah.
Okay, so now in number 3 comes Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, and I feel like the reason why we rank him higher than the STR Omega Shenron is because, as you said earlier, he just has so many different gimmicks. He has incredible links, and he's just I want to say a much better unit, but he is a better unit overall. I mean, what do you think?
I would agree. Like I was telling you earlier, the problem with Gotenks is you really have to micromanage him and his team. You have to be very specific with how you run him, because you generally would want the 11 key modifier, because that gives him an immense attack and it greatly boosts his attack as well. Whereas the 12 key and up, of course, you give him more than 12, is an extreme modifier and it greatly lowers defense. So you're looking at those gimmicks and where he powers himself up, and he can also reduce the defense of the enemy, which makes everybody hit a little harder too. And he also gets 120% attack on the passive. That's incredible on super attack, just 120 flat, just no conditions. And of course, if you were just struggling for key, you could still get him with the super attack at 9 key at least, with an immense modifier, which is going to hit really hard. Basically, Gotenks rounds out to being one of the hardest hitting cards in the game, if not the flat out hardest hitter in the game, period. At super attack 10, of course.
I think one of the things that you touched on is that he requires a lot of maintenance. That's like one of the bad things about his like unit group, because it just requires so much maintenance. And like some of the units, for example, Golden Frieza not having certain links, he had a ton of potential. His tanking ability and obviously his ability to do damage could have been much better if he had Over in a Flash, because obviously he would link really well with Gotenks, and that wouldn't require as much maintenance.
Basically. But the thing is that, like with Gotenks as well, is that you look at his links, he doesn't have any links that really go really well with most of his running mates, aside from the generic attack boost ones like Super Saiyan. But that's okay for him, because you want him to have no key. Basically, you want to be able to say, okay, Gotenks has 6 key now from the double lead, maybe 7 from Golden Warrior, let me give him 5 key, and boom, I have 11 key. So it works for him, but it kind of hinders everybody else around him, in that you would want to run key support for them because they don't have the same gimmick. But if you run key support, you run the risk of the key support increasing Gotenks' key, so you have to work a little harder to manage it. Like I was telling you, the second that Gotenks links with the Gogeta, he's screwed. Instant 12 key, because double lead, because you're going to run either a double Gogeta lead or something, and Fused Fighter and Over in Flash and probably Golden Warrior. Screwed.
Yeah, and one of the things that you said earlier as well, with the rebirth of Super Saiyan 2 Goku, like the moment that both of these units are on the field, like Super Saiyan 2 Goku is a really good supportive unit for tech type teams, obviously, because he gives free key to those types. But as soon as he's next to Gotenks, it kind of ruins him, because you're most likely going to get like that 12 key, which you don't really want to get most of the time.
Yeah, I actually take that back a little bit, because I just noticed that Gotenks does not even have Golden Warrior. That just basically shows you that they literally didn't give him key links to like give you the ability to give you the ability to manage him, because if they gave him Prepare for Battle on his team, he has so many running mates he could link with. So I don't know, he's weird.
So obviously, you touched on it. Obviously, he has 3 different super attacks. He has the 120% attack boost upon super attack. He has the Innocent, Super Saiyan, Over and Flash, Fierce Battle, Fused Fighter, and Limit Breaking Form. Obviously, the main key links there, Over and Flash and Fused Fighter. But apart from that, the majority of the key links that the tech types have are obviously prepared for battle. So that just really shows you that they kind of remove the main key links for that type, just to allow him to use his abilities.
Yeah, and they basically made him with the micromanaging of Gotenks in mind. They basically made his links knowing that you would have to treat him a special kind of way. But that doesn't really negatively impact him, because it's really easy to get a super attack with him, like it is with Broly. And it's a harder hitting one because it's an immense one, even though it doesn't hit twice. And if you wanted to, you can get gimmicks where you increase attack or defense, and they stack. So it's just, he's all around really good.
He's a really good unit. Okay, so this is like in my opinion, and obviously I know you think this as well, in second place comes Buuhan, and he is on a completely different level to the previous slot, isn't he?
Yeah, him and Vegito, who's obviously number one at this point.
Yeah.
They're on a completely different level than every other one of these guys. They are the only units in this entire game at this point. Obviously, Rainbow Leader has come out, which will probably change this whole, graph around.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
It'll happen eventually, but he's the only other one that can carry an entire team that way. So Buuhan is special.
Yeah, like when the card was first revealed, like many people was like so skeptical about how good this card would be, but as soon as you actually use this unit, like you could just tell how incredible he was, just because he didn't require like any like item management. You could just literally walk through these events without any effort. We talked about it earlier against that Golden Freezer event. You had like 3 unawakened units, and it was just extremely easy.
Yeah, basically. And the thing about Boo that's so amazing is the fact that he has shocking speed. He has several shocking speed running mates that you can run him with. You can run him with Janemba, who's amazing too. You can run him with the Ultimate Gohan, who's a lot better now because he's really easy to get a super attack with. He has shocking speed, which is a main key link. I mean, he has a lot of different potential options for that team. And when you look at Buuhan, I was first and foremost, he's one of my favorite cards in this game, period, because he's amazing. But I was unimpressed with him as well, because you look at him and you say, well, he's a nuker and he heals. It's not really that impressive. That was my initial interaction of him.
Yeah, everyone thought that was bad because of how irrelevant nuking was, and nuking is still irrelevant, but his healing ability is just like so clutch. It can get you out of like so many different situations. Like today, I saw someone like live streaming like against the Omega Shenron event with a Buuhan team, and he has a type disadvantage, and he could just completely destroy it. It just honestly seems like Buuhan can walk through most of these events without actually struggling.
Yeah, and the thing about Buuhan is, while you look at his HP and you say, wow, that's amazing, he can recover so much HP, especially if you have 2 of them floating around, and you can throw in the Buikalo, who recovers 30% of what he does. He has a lot of cool options as far as HP regeneration, to where you don't have to use a Senzu or any items for the most part. But the best thing about this card is the fact that he has the ability to greatly lower attack and defense. Comparatively, I ran him on the Physical Broly earlier. Physical Broly was hitting every single one of my intelligence units for about 300 damage. Unless it was a super attack, of course. He was hitting them all for like 300 damage, because Boo nuked his attack so much that he couldn't hurt me. And you lower his defense so much that you break his barrier and you start doing incredible damage to that guy. He's basically got the abilities of Gotenks. Gotenks boosts his attack and he lowers the opponent's defense. He's got that for him here. And he basically is just... I don't understand this card. He's just too good.
Yeah, it's just insane how, like, at first it just seems bad, but then when you actually use it, it's just ridiculously good. The way it works is perfect, to be honest. And there are just so many different combinations, like as you mentioned earlier, Janemba, Goku. You could even run a prepared for battle team, to be honest.
Yeah.
And obviously you have the farmable super attack, which was ridiculous.
That's what I was going to bring up too. The farmable super attack really is the main thing for this card. The fact that you can get him to super attack 10 for free without having to use Elder Kais and stuff like that when his event comes around with that bootleg strength one, that's the best thing about him, basically. So, he's just amazing. I don't know, all the way around.
Yeah. So, you obviously have the 2 super attacks Vice Shout, which is at super attack level 5, that's when he gets it. And then at super attack 10, he has a 30% chance to use the Super Boo Ghost Kamehameha. He obviously gives the free key to in-types and increases every stat by 70%. Passive skill attack plus 12% and HP up by 3,000 per key orb collected. Link skills Big Bad Bosses, Metamorphosis, Shocking Speed, Fierce Battle, the Wall Standing Tall, Margin and Kamehameha. Overall, incredible unit, just insane compared to the previous 3. But the number 1 spot obviously goes to Super Vegito, and honestly, I think you feel like these two aren't really that far apart from each other.
No, I don't. Buuhan is not very much worse than Vegito is. Vegito is the better unit, because that counter and that ability to tank hits And also the fact that he's a Super Saiyan. I mean, the game obviously favors the Saiyan cards.
Yeah. I'm surprised they made Buuhan as good as they did, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because they tend to, like, not make villains as good.
Yeah, look at Broly and Omega.
Exactly. But, it's just ridiculous, because Vegito is essentially, like, one of the, like, the best offensive and defensive unit in the game.
Basically, he is really well rounded in that regard. The only issue with that card is that the only problem is that he doesn't tank super attacks. Literally, but that's not a big deal.
Oh my oh my word, that would be absolutely insane. And I didn't even realise this till like quite recently. I mean, I realised it in game, but I wasn't too sure. He also gives like a 30% attack boost to all your units.
Yes, on a super attack. Every single Vegito gets, I believe it's 25 and 30 for Super Vegito.
Yeah,
so they're all really good supporting units in that regard.
It's just, I think you've definitely said this before. Bandai probably didn't realise how good his counter attack would actually be.
Oh yeah, they didn't factor in how good that ability would be, which is why Broly is so garbage. Because Broly was a throw-in, and they didn't expect him to be that good. They thought it would balance out well by giving Broly 2 super attacks, but no, it doesn't balance out very well. Especially when you look at AGL, because there's so many damn top-tier AGL units.
Yeah, exactly. There's just so many different combinations that just work like really well. You could go over in Flash, shocking speed, and there are just like so many people thought that STR was just going to be at the top, but since then, Agility has just brought out like way too many good units. You have Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, the rebirth for the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku, and then Vegeta will get his inevitable Dokkan event, which will just create one of the best partnerships in the entire game because they just link up so well. The amount of potential damage in this type is just absolutely ridiculous. And you still have Golden Frieza, who is a pretty good tank. You obviously have the newer Sealers, which you don't think are that relevant just because of how much he tanks, which is understandable. Yeah, you don't really need Sealers for this type of team, do you?
Not really. You don't need sealers for most of the teams in the game. Maybe only on physical is the best one, but they have the best sealing options anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it can be useful when you have like a type disadvantage. For example, against Beerus, that could be a bit of a problem. But apart from that, sealing really isn't that like too much of a problem. And the thing about this Vegito, he has so many good links. Like as I said before, the amount of compatibility that he has is just ridiculous. He has the Prepared for Battle link, he has the Shock and Speed link. There are just so many options that you can like have with a mono AGL team that it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, mono AGL basically rapes the entire game, and what makes it so bad is that Vegito has so many, like I said, top tier running mates.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of scary what this team can be capable of. Like, especially as many of you probably saw today. Well, while we're recording this video, he just absolutely walks through that Shenron event, and I don't know. Do you have anything else to say on him?
No, not really. Vegito, basically, in a nutshell, has amazing links. He is the amazing leader skill that all these guys have. He has that counter that basically tanks majority of the things in the game, and the counter allows him to do a lot of damage back in return. Not just does he tank, he returns damage. He also boosts everybody who attacks after him. He boosts their attack by 30% as well. He's just really good. I don't have anything else to say about that guy. But like I said, Buuhan is up there too. They're in a class all their own, and then the next tier is the next two, and Broly is just kind of there. He is literally just the outsider. Unfortunately, there just isn't really anything special like about him. He's just very bland. Like it's the exact same with Omega Shenron. He's just very bland. For example, Gotenks has multiple different gimmicks. Buuhan, again, just has everything really. Basically.
Vegito is just unique because of this counter.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out about Buuhan really quick before we get out of here is that people look at his nuking passive, the 12% poor orb, and they don't factor in the fact that you don't have to nuke. He's going to hit really hard normally, simply because he's getting a number of orbs. So you don't have to sit there and try to nuke. And
he's at Super Attack 10 anyway.
Exactly. And then his Super Attack will change to the Kamehameha one, which will hit a lot harder than the Vice Shout.
Basically, guys, if you have Vegito or Buuhan, you will walk through any event. You're fine. You'll probably walk with most events of Gotenks. STR, it has potential. Physical, yeah, I'm sorry, you got the short end of the stick. But yeah, I think that's it. Any last words, or is that it?
Nah, that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you for joining us, guys. It was a different type of SSR analysis video, but it's nice to get different opinions on this, and I'm really glad that we did this. It was really enjoyable. And of course, if you aren't subscribed to D3, go ahead and check out the link in the description. And yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. See you guys in the next video.
Peace.